Hi everybody, it's Babaloo, and I just want to start by saying that this is my absolute favorite shirt ever. It's the Doctor talking to Calvin while he's inside a box that's labeled Time Machine, and he says it's bigger on the inside. I love it. Anyways, what I wanted to do today was I'm finally going to bring you the second part to my review of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, that being The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Now you might be asking yourself, well, what does the Two Towers mean? Well, I'll tell you! The title Two Towers refers to the fact that now there is an alliance between the two towers of Orthanc and Barad-dûr, that being Saruman in Isengard, Orthanc, and Sauron in Mordor, Barad-dûr. So they have an alliance now and they're gonna wreak havoc together. Now I did just watch this movie on my Blu-ray extended edition, so if I end up talking about stuff that you guys can't remember, that's probably just because you saw the original cut and not the director's cut. So basically we find out that Sauron has discovered that Aragorn is alive, and he knows that Aragorn is the heir to Isildur, who was the guy who ruined his plans the first time. So he wants to kill Aragorn. So he uses Saruman as kind of a little puppet to do this for him. And what's his plan? To destroy every single man. I mean, yeah, if you destroy all of them, you'll eventually get the right guy, right? So what Saruman does is he basically destroys the land around him to create a giant Uruk-hai army. And we're talking like 10,000 troops, and he sends them out to destroy the world of men. Okay, now that I've got that said, in this movie there's basically three main storylines, and I'm going to be looking at each one of them individually instead of jumping back and forth all the time, because that could be confusing. So I'm going to start off with Merry and Pippin's storyline. Now this movie starts off right where the last one ended. Merry and Pippin had just been kidnapped by some of Saruman's Uruk-hai, and they're taking them back to Isengard, because they think that Merry and Pippin have a weapon, which is the ring, but the Uruk-hai don't know that. They've just been told that they have a weapon. It's best not to tell the Uruk-hai too much. So on their way back to Isengard, they eventually make camp right outside of Fangorn Forest, and there's a big kerfluffle between the Uruk-hai and the orcs. And suddenly there's a surprise attack from Riders of Rohan. They come in and they destroy everything. But Merry and Pippin happen to escape into Fangorn Forest, and there they are saved by and they meet Treebeard, an Ent. And later on we find out that Merry and Pippin actually going into the forest sets off a huge chain of events that basically helps the world survive. Because them going in there helps the Ents reawaken. For the longest time, Ents were asleep. Treebeard was the only Ent that was actually out and about. But things start happening and the rest of the Ents awaken. Now at first, Treebeard wants to kill Merry and Pippin because he doesn't know what hobbits are and he thinks they're just orc spies. But they're taken before the White Wizard. And as we know, Saruman is the White Wizard. But there's a new White Wizard, and we will talk about him later. He assures Treebeard that these are just hobbits and they're no harm. So Treebeard takes them in and basically becomes friends with them. Then all the Ents get together because they need to decide what they're going to do next. Are they just going to live their life out in the forest, or are they going to go to war? And that's exactly what Merry and Pippin want them to do. They want them to go to war because these Ents would be amazing as an army. So after the Ents gather together and spend a few days talking because it takes them so long to talk, they decide that they're not going to go to war. And Merry and Pippin are devastated. But Treebeard was about to take them outside the forest so they can go home to the Shire, when Pippin gets a great idea. He tells Treebeard to drop them off near Isengard, because the closer they are to trouble, the further away they are from harm. Or the quote goes something like that. So Treebeard agrees, and when they get to the Isengard part of the forest, Treebeard sees all this destruction that Saruman caused. He gets enraged, so he calls the Ents, and they go to war against Isengard. And this scene was awesome. Basically, the Ents going into Isengard and just wrecking stuff. They are nearly unstoppable. So they go in, kill a bunch of orcs, destroy a bunch of stuff, break the dam, the river comes in, it floods Isengard, and the day is won. End of storyline 1. The next storyline I'm going to talk about is Frodo and Sam. So Frodo and Sam are still on their way to Mordor, and they eventually capture Smeagol, or Gollum. It's the same guy, just two different personalities. They make him swear to be their guide and to take them to Mordor, so he agrees to it. And the whole time Sam does not trust him one bit. And Sam is a good judge of character, because he is not to be trusted. But Smeagol takes them to the Black Gate of Mordor, which is where they think they're going to get in, but really, it's not that good of an idea. So he tells them that he's going to take them to another place where they can get into Mordor that's not so heavily guarded. And along the way, they are captured by Faramir. Now, Faramir is a really great character. He is actually Boromir's younger brother, and if you remember, Boromir was in the first movie and he was part of the Fellowship, but he tragically died near the end. I should also mention that while they captured Frodo and Sam, Gollum got away. So, anyways, Faramir captured them and he brings them to his hidden base behind a waterfall, and nearby is the Forbidden Pool. Faramir saw Gollum, so he knows that there's a third party member, but Frodo and Sam deny it. Well, Frodo denies it. Sam just didn't say anything. Eventually, Gollum stumbles upon the Forbidden Pool and he dives in to go fishing. Faramir sees this and he decides to bring out Frodo to basically bait him into telling the truth, because he says that swimming in the Forbidden Pool is punishable by death. So they were about to kill Gollum when Frodo decides to tell the truth and tell them that he is actually their companion. Gollum sings a short little song while he's in the Forbidden Pool. If you'll let me indulge you, I'm gonna try my best to do a Gollum impression. To be honest, I can do a Stitch impression, but I can't do a very good Gollum one, so just bear with me.
The only wish to catch a fish, so just so sweet.
That was definitely Stitch. Anyways, Gollum's captured and he lets slip that Frodo has the One Ring. And Faramir wants to take the ring to his father because we found out earlier, sorry for not mentioning this earlier, there's a flashback and it's Boromir and Osgiliath. And he has won the city back and everybody's so proud of Boromir. Faramir was there too. And you see Faramir and Boromir interact. You see that they are really good brothers and Boromir is a really nice guy. And then Faramir sees their dad coming. Basically, Boromir is the favorite child, but rather than being petty and being all like, oh, I'm the favorite, I'm so much better than you, he really feels for Faramir because his father Denethor just treats him like dirt. So Denethor comes up and he's congratulating Boromir, and Boromir's like, well, you know, Faramir did a lot too. And Denethor's like, the city fell because of Faramir. He's not all that great. Yeah. Denethor's Dad of the Year. He's right up there with Odin. So anyways, Faramir wants to impress his father, so he decides to take the ring to Gondor. So they take Frodo and Sam to Osgiliath. They had to go there because the city's under attack again. Faramir soon sees the error in his ways and he lets Frodo and Sam and Gollum go because he knows they have a greater purpose to fulfill. So they set out again with Gollum leading the way. We find out that Gollum has a plan of how to kill Frodo and Sam.
He's going to let her kill them.
And we won't find out who her is until the next movie. So we know Gollum's up to no good. I mean, we knew that before, but now we know for sure. Now on to the last storyline, which is my absolute favorite. Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas. Now, as I said, this movie starts off right where the last one left off. So Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas are on the path to save Merry and Pippin from the Uruk-hai, running tirelessly day and night, trying desperately to catch up to them. They eventually come across the riders who destroyed the Uruk-hai. They told them that they slaughtered everything and burned the bodies, but they're welcome to go check and see if their friends are there. So that's what they do. They get to the site and they see no sign of Merry and Pippin. And it's actually this great part where Aragorn gets so upset that he kicks a steel helmet on the ground and he lets out this great scream of pain. What's so great about that is while shooting that, Viggo Mortensen actually broke his toe on that kick, and that was his actual scream of pain. But Aragorn eventually finds tracks of the hobbits that lead into Fangorn Forest, so they go in to try and save them. And they come across the White Wizard, and this is when we find out that the White Wizard is actually Gandalf. Yes, he was basically reborn as the White Wizard as Saruman should be, not the evil dick that he actually is. So of course he helps them out. He knows that Saruman is going to try and destroy Rohan. Rohan is one of the kings of men, and it's kinda weak. So the four of them ride off to Edoras to address Theoden, the king of Rohan, to try and get him to come to his senses and protect his people. They get to Edoras and they find out that Saruman, with the help of Grima Wormtongue, has kind of possessed the king and turned him to this really old, gray-haired mess of a person who has very poor judgment. Gandalf then releases Theoden from Saruman's clutches and Wormtongue runs off all defeated. Theoden now sees what fate his people will come to and he decides the best action is to go to their defensive keep, Helm's Deep. So they decide to pack up everybody, men, women, children, soldiers, and go to Helm's Deep. And along the way, they are attacked by warg riders. Now, for those of you that don't know, wargs are basically huge, badass wolves that destroy everything. So we have a short fight between the men and the warg riders. That's pretty cool. But during the fight, Aragorn gets caught on a warg and falls off a cliff, and he dies. No, I'm kidding. He doesn't die. Come on, he's almost the main character. He survives this fall and he eventually makes his way back to Helm's Deep. But along the way, he sees the giant Uruk-hai army that's coming for them. So he rides back to warn them about this 10,000 strong army. And as we find out, this will be a fight of 300 against 10,000. Those aren't very good odds. But before the Uruk-hai get there, some elves come. They were sent by Elrond to honor the alliance that men and elves used to have. So that bolsters their numbers a bit, but it's still 10,000 orcs. And the Uruk-hai finally get to Helm's Deep, and we have my absolute favorite segment, scene, fight, whatever in a movie ever. I love the fight for Helm's Deep. Starts off the Uruk-hai, shooting arrows, putting up ladders, that sort of thing. It's like, oh, well, that's not that bad. Then suddenly they blow up the wall. Yeah, the wall of Helm's Deep has a little culvert where water can run out. They just placed a whole bunch of bombs under there and blew it up. Now Helm's Deep is breached, now the tables turn really fast. The men in Elves fight desperately, and eventually the main gate of Helm's Deep is breached as well, and there's really nothing left to do after that. So everybody falls back into the keep. And the mood inside the keep is basically, okay, we gave it our best shot, like, we're not gonna win this. Then Aragorn remembers what Gandalf told him before he left. He told him on the dawn of the 5th day, look to the east. He sees the sun coming up, so he tells Theoden, hey, let's ride out there. Just go out there and just give them what we got. So everybody that can find a horse gets mounted and they go out there and they start slaughtering Uruk-hai. And Aragorn looks up to the east and he sees Gandalf up there on his horse Shadowfax. And Gandalf has brought with him the men of the Rohirrim, who were the guys who slaughtered all the Uruk-hai at the beginning. And they are 2,000 strong. And they come rushing down this hill toward the orcs and they completely destroy them. I mean, some of the orcs do get away, but as we learned earlier, Fangorn Forest has come back alive. And as the orcs try to run, they are suddenly surrounded by a bunch of trees that showed up out of nowhere, and the trees absolutely destroy them. So the Uruk-hai are completely wiped out. And there's one scene in the extended edition that I really like, because it really shows that there's a friendship with Gimli and Legolas, which is kind of rare because dwarfs and elves hate each other. They're sitting in the field of all these slaughtered Uruk-hai. Gimli's sitting on an orc with his axe in its head, smoking a pipe, and they're comparing numbers to see who killed more. Legolas says he killed 42. Gimli's all proud because he killed 43. And then suddenly Legolas pulls out an arrow and shoots the orc that Gimli's sitting on. And he goes, 43. Gimli just says, well, he's already dead. And Legolas says, well, he was twitching. And then Gimli says, he's twitching because he has my axe buried in his nervous system. I just love that. And we're finally left with a few ominous words from Gandalf. He says, the battle for Helm's Deep is over. The battle for Middle-earth is about to begin. Which is a great setup for the final movie. So, I've told you guys before that this trilogy is my absolute favorite trilogy ever, and The Two Towers is my absolute favorite movie out of the trilogy. So, it should come to no surprise that I think this movie is amazing! This is one of my favorite movies ever. I can't get enough of it. I've seen it so many times, and I can still go back and watch it and still be entertained. So why don't you guys tell me what your absolute favorite movie is? I'm curious to know. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Before I let you go, I just want to let you guys know that if you haven't gotten enough of me, you can follow me on Twitter @Babaloo or like my Facebook page, facebook.com/Babaloo. That way you can get updates when new videos come out. You can also check out some of my older videos, which I'm showing you here, and click that like and subscribe button. It really helps out a lot. Thanks for watching.